welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these super fun scissor cases. We're going to use one pattern, but we're going to get all three designs from that one pattern. We're also going to step up our game today. I'm going to be showing you how to make this one in the middle. It has this little snap on there and they're super easy to install, but we haven't done that on this channel yet, so I'll show you how to do that today. But I will show you how to put together all three. So if you're ready to get sewing, here's what you're going to need. So we're going to be making three different styles from one pattern. So this first style is the one we're going to be making on today's video. It has this cute little snap button on there, and I just wanted to be able to show you how to add those because we haven't done a whole lot of hardware. The second one has two different pockets, which is super handy for some scissors and maybe a pin or a seam ripper or a smaller pair. And then this third one, which has elastic and a button, which is perfect for these larger scissors, and I'll show you how to install that later. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's some of the supplies I'm going to be using. I need an outer and lining fabric. I also need a fusible batting piece and a piece of binding. The binding is kind of optional. And then you're going to just need some basic sewing supplies. I will make sure to link everything in the description box below this video. And then I'm also going to be using this little snap set, and I will link this below as well. And I'm going to do that one today so that I can show you how to put in the snaps. So go ahead and download the free PDF in the description box below this video. It's going to have your template on it and some instructions for you. So I've done that. The first thing we're going to do is just set our binding aside. We're going to take our outside fabric, which for me is going to be this one. I'm going to lay my fusible batting right here with the glue side up, and you can tell because the glue side is bumpy. Okay, so whichever side is bumpy, that's your glue side, and we're going to put the wrong side of your fabric down onto the glue side. So I'm just going to fuse my batting to my fabric following my manufacturer directions, and for this one you just want to press it with a hot iron with no steam. And then you can tell it's done when it's adhered to your fabric. So I'm going to place this right side up. It's got my batting on the wrong side. And then I'm going to take my lining piece and place that right side down on top of it and just kind of line that up there. Next, we're going to take our template that we cut out, and I am going to place it with the 90-degree angle right here. And then you can just trace around your template for whichever one you want. Since we're going to be making this one, we don't need this optional front flap, so I'm just going to fold that in so it's out of my way. But I do need my two side panels and my top flap. So this is kind of how it goes on there. So this 90-degree angle is your top corner, and that just helps me later when I'm trying to figure out how to fold this. Then I'm going to take just a friction erasable pin, and I'm just going to trace my template. And then right here I have a little spot that shows me to leave it open, so I'm just not going to write right there. That way I'll know. And then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine. I'm going to back stitch at my stop and start, and I'm going to sew right on the line all the way around. Next, I'm going to line up my ruler with the 1/4 inch line right on the line that we sewed on, and I'm just going to trim off all around our template here. Okay, so now we have our template. Here's our little opening right here. I'm going to just trim off right next to these corners, but without trimming through my stitch line. And that's just going to help it fold out a little bit nicer, especially since we have this row of batting in there. Now I'm going to take this lining piece and I'm just going to fold it back right along, just finger press it right along this stitch line. That's going to help us when we go to turn this right side out. It will already kind of be pressed for us. Okay, now we can just carefully turn this right side out, and this is where back stitching is really going to come in handy because hopefully you won't rip your stitches. And just be patient. Now here is where your hair marker is going to come in handy, so I will just use that to help kind of push out these corners nice and neat, and then I will take this over to my ironing board and just give it a really good press. And when I press it, I'm also just going to turn this open edge in by 1/4 inch, and that kind of finger press we did earlier should help out as well. Alright, so it's all nice and pressed and it looks great. Now, as I reminded you earlier, the 90-degree angle here is your top flap. Okay, so we're gonna just take this side and just fold it over like that, and I just kind of line up these corners and just make sure that this seam is nice and lined up. Now, one cool thing about this pattern is that it's pretty much reversible. So if you decide that you didn't like this print for your outside print, you can also flip it and do it this way. It doesn't really matter. You can do it either way. And this is my little open side over here. So I like to just kind of put a little clip there just so I know where it's at, so that when I'm sewing I can just make sure to be really careful right around there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way, and then I'll just clip that in place, and you can throw a couple more clips in. Okay, and then if you would like, you can just stitch right up this side, just double stitch, back stitch at your stops and starts. I'm going to just add this cute piece of binding because I think that it's going to just give it a little extra pop. So I'm going to go ahead and overlay my binding by about 1/4 of an inch on each side. I bet we'll see it a little bit easier this way. So I'm going to line it up so that I've got 1/4 of an inch of my binding hanging over each edge, and then I'm going to fold it in by that 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to go ahead and just pin that, and then I'm just going to use the rest of my clips here. And I'm going to do the same thing at this end, where I'm just going to fold it over by 1/4 of an inch and just pin that into place. We're going to take this to our sewing machine and just sew right down this edge using a 1/4 inch seam. Alright, so next we're just going to fold this up and just kind of finger press it. You can iron it if you like, to the other side, and we're just going to flip it over like this. And then I'm just going to fold it up so that it kind of meets that, and then fold it over to the other side. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a little clip there to kind of help me hold that in place as I'm sewing. Again, I'm going to fold it up and then over. So here is our finished panel. We're done with the sewing portion, and now we're going to just add these cute little snaps. And I think they just kind of make your project look a little bit more professional. And of course they keep your scissors all nice and secure in there. So to do that, we're going to need a couple of snaps. And I have this kit. I just bought it off Amazon, and I will link it for you below. It does have instructions in the kit on how to assemble your snaps. And it comes in a variety of different colors. And then they also have the little tools inside. So we're going to be using this and these. And then I'm also going to be using my awl to poke holes where indicated in our pattern. Now you can just lay your pattern on top of here if you like, and just go ahead and use that as the template. You can also kind of eyeball it wherever you want your hole to be. So it's totally up to you, but you're just going to take your I can't say that, oh my word, and just press a nice hole through your fabric, and just make sure you get through all of the layers. And then what I like to do, there is a mark here on the template where to put your second hole, but I actually prefer to just go ahead and fold this over and then use it to kind of make a mark that way. Just make sure you don't go through the back, but you can see where your little mark was. So you're going to make 2 holes in your fabric using your awl. Next, you're going to need 4 pieces. So the first one is your outer snap, and that goes with this inner snap, and that's going to go right on top of it like that. The inside piece is going to be your the part that snaps into it. Sorry, I don't know what they're actually called. So for the outside piece, we'll just do that one first. We're going to take our flat piece, and we're going to just poke that through our hole here so that you've got your flat on the outside. And then you're going to take this and really just push it on there. And I forgot my baby hammer, so you're going to need that, and then you're going to take the tool that has kind of a pointy tip on it here, and you're just going to place the point down into your snap and just snap it on so that it's nice and tight. Next, we're going to take our snap, and you're going to take the one that has the little bit of a taller end on it. you've got one that's shorter and one that's taller. The taller one is going to go inside and out your hole. And then this one is going to go on top of that. Like this. Okay, and you can kind of push on it a little bit. Then you're going to take this little guy, and he's got this kind of indent in him, and you're going to want to line that up with the hole in the back. And then you're going to take your other tool that is indented so that you don't mush this in and hammer that on. Just make sure it's good and tight. Test it out. And there you go. So this size scissor keeper is okay for these smaller scissors. So as you can see, that one will fit perfectly. This one will fit perfectly. And then these ones are just a little bit bigger. So if you do want to put those in, I would put them in first before you attach your snap, and then fold this over and figure out where to put it, because my little marker is meant for these ones, and so it wouldn't quite fit. But you can put the taller ones in there. You just need to scoot up your snap just a little bit like that. And then I just quickly wanted to show you the second version of this. So here's my binding, and I made this just like I did the other one. I just added the batting to the wrong side of the outside fabric, traced my template on, sewed around it, flipped it right side out. Here's my hole here. For this one, I added this little elastic on it. And so in order to do that one, you don't need this optional front flap, and you also don't need this top flap. So you can just fold those down like so, trace your template, and then you have just this little pie shape, and you can fold it in half like this. You can just sew right on this edge and just leave it like that. You can put the binding on to decorate it. I also thought it was fun, like I just did on this one, to just tip down this side right here and sew a button on and add some elastic. So when I was sewing these right sides together, I just put the elastic where indicated on my pattern here, and you're just going to want to put it so your raw edges are up against this raw edge, and your elastic kind of comes down in a loop like this. Then when you sew around your object and turn it right side out, your elastic will pop out the top here. And this one is reversible as well, so I can decide if I like it this way, or I can flip it and do it this way. All right, I think I'm going to go with it this way because I like that one better. So I'm just going to fold this down just for a little decorative touch. Grab one for here. You can also, again, skip the binding and just do that. We're going to add the binding the same way that I added it. So again, I'm going to line the binding up with it hanging over by about, this one's a little bit more, 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch here. Just clip it in place. And I think on this one I just ended the binding right here, so you can have it go all the way to the top, or you can end it right there. The binding strip is going to be long enough to do either one. I think I am going to stop mine right here at the fold, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that right where I need it. And just clip everything into place. Now this is a lot of layers, especially where the fold is, so just take your time, sew slowly, add it just like you did the one I just showed you, and then I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so here is this one with the binding added. Super fun and easy. Now I did want to give you a little bit of a tip because, like I mentioned, this is a lot of fabric. You may use a denim needle. That might help your machine. It's a little bit stronger needle, and then you won't hopefully break your needle. The last thing to do is just to sew a little button on here. So I'll just take my elastic, figure out where a good place to put my button is, make a little mark, and sew on a button. And then for our last version here, and this one's really fun because it has 2 pockets. So we're gonna cut out the whole template for this one. And I prepared this one the exact same way I prepared the others, just flipped it right side out and pressed it. And then just remember that this 90-degree angle is your top flap. And so I like to just put the template on here when I'm doing this so that I can figure out where to fold. And then we're gonna fold on this diagonal like this, and then we're gonna fold the front back like that. So again, I'm just going to kind of place my finger down here. We're going to meet these corners up here and then fold this back here. And there you go. Then you can sew up this side and you can sew up this side, and then you can of course add a binding strip just for decoration if you like. I'm probably going to do that as well, and you can put your binding on either side. It really doesn't matter. And by the way, this one is also reversible. So if you decide that you don't like those colors, you can do it this way as well. So I'm just going to add my binding to this one, clip it in place. The only difference on this one is that you do need to sew up this short side as well to make your second pocket. So these are totally flexible and unique, and you can just really customize them and make them fun. So I'm gonna attach the binding the exact same way I did on the other one, and I will meet you right back here. And here we go. We have 3 different versions of scissor cozies. We added a little button here on this elastic one, and I like to do that so that you can put these larger scissors in there, and then I run the elastic in between the handles and then down through the button, and then that way it kind of holds them in there. You can of course use this one where we have more than one pocket, and you can do 2 pairs of scissors in here. You could also put like a little pin or your seam ripper or something in there. And then of course on this third one, you can keep these in there nice and snapped and ready to go. All right guys, that was it. As you can see, these are so easy and fun. I also think they would make really great gift ideas. If you put together a little sewing basket, made a little scissor case, added in some fun supplies for someone you know that loves sewing, I think this would be a great idea. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. That way I know to keep making fun videos for you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today I'm gonna be throwing these on the floor. Okay. You just ruined my shot, dude. Jax is back, guys. You were asking for him. He's right here in the action. Sorry, Jax is trying to let himself out. This is always harder to do on camera than it is in person. Thank you so much for joining us today, me and Jax, and I will see you next time.